Hi, I'm Ian. Before we get into the presentation, I just want to say a few things. First, join our Facebook group for Unity Facebook developers. It's fantastic. You get lots of news, tips, and tricks. Also, there's a party tonight, which I know is the main event of the evening. It's going to be at 6:30 p.m. at the Fairmont Waterfront. Now, I made this mistake last night. I was supposed to meet these guys at the Fairmont. There's two. There's one across the street, and that's the Fairmont Marina, and there's the Fairmont Waterfront just off to the left. So don't do what I did. Go to the left. There's a Facebook booth outside here. It has these wonderful little flyers. You've also already found them on your chair. It's got all these links in case you can't write them down or copy them or take a photo with your iPhone or whatever. It has all the information on there, but they also have t-shirts. So you can be super stylish like me, I guess, and wear an awesome Facebook t-shirt. Anyway, come grab one of these at the booth. Thank you. And if you have questions that we don't get to today, or you just want like a designated time to come chat with the Facebook folks or me or anyone else, we have office hours tomorrow. It's in room 108, starting at 9 o'clock, runs all day. So if you wake up late, it's cool. Don't worry, we'll be there. Anyway, let's just go into this thing. Hi, my name is Ian. I'm an engineer with Unity. Yes, I write code. Hello. Welcome to the talk. Standing up here today are some fine folks from Facebook. This is Vishu and Aaron from the Facebook Games team, and David from Parse. And we're going to talk to you about some really cool things that we've been doing. You've probably seen some press releases. We started talking about it in the spring. David said some things about it this morning. But now Vishu will start off by going into what we're actually doing.
Thanks, Ian. Hey, everybody. My name is Vishu Gupta. I manage the games platform engineering team at Facebook. I've been at Facebook for a few years now, working on platform, then payments, and then specifically focused on games for the last few years. And it's always a privilege to announce the stuff that we build and bring it in front of you guys. Today, I'm excited to announce the Facebook SDK for Unity. When we started looking at Unity last year, we realized there were two things about Unity that really stand out. One, Unity makes it really easy for you guys to build a really good game, and then with like one click of a button, you can port that game over to any platform that you want and just take your game to that set of audience. The second thing about Unity was that we saw that on Facebook Canvas, just an increasing number of developers, game developers, are starting to use Unity to build really high-quality games, really high-quality 3D games. And when we looked at these two things about Unity, we realized that Facebook was kind of lagging behind in both of these dimensions. So while at a time when it was becoming really easy for game developers to build a game using Unity and deploy it across multiple platforms, the Facebook integration needed to be done separately for each and every platform. You had to write the native code for iOS, Android, and call the web API for Canvas. And that was not ideal. The second thing we realized was that, again, while the Canvas experience for 3D games built using Unity was getting better and better, the Facebook integration was, again, based on HTML dialogues, and it forces a user out of full screen mode, which was the desired way of playing for these games. So we thought that we should address both of these problems. And we're happy to announce that Facebook SDK for Unity does that. Facebook SDK for Unity, you use it and you just code in C# without leaving the Unity environment. And you code the API once, and it just works seamlessly across all of the platforms. The second thing about the immersive gaming experience on the web canvas, we now have Unity native dialogues, which you call using the Unity SDK that we've built. And the experience is much, much better. It works in full screen mode. The dialogues are native Unity. And it's just a much better user experience. We're going to talk in deep technical details about what we've built and how you can use it. And later, Parse team is going to talk about and give you a sneak peek into what they've been building for you guys. But before we go into that detail, it's probably reasonable to talk about why you should care about Facebook. There are three things I want to go over in terms of the benefits of integrating your game with Facebook. First is that Facebook really allows you to reach your audience across mobile and web, and we're going to look at numbers and how that ecosystem is growing. Second, I'm going to talk about how you can enable your users to play a game with their friends and have a really good social experience while playing the game. And third, we're going to talk about the cross-platform gaming aspects. In terms of reach, if we look at mobile devices, Facebook has more than 800 million monthly active users on mobile phones. These users are really heavily engaged in our own iOS, Android, and mobile website. And they're ready to interact with game content whenever it shows up in their news feed or in the notifications bar or the mobile app center or across all the channels that we have in our mobile apps. More than 20% of time people spend on their phones is spent on one of the Facebook apps. And this number shows us the opportunity that game developers have to have a social experience that shows up in people's news feeds or notification bars or any of the social channels I talked about, and just engage with that content. To take advantage of this reach, a huge percentage of iOS and Android apps, top grossing iOS and Android apps, have integrated with Facebook. And not only the reach, on top of the reach, developers have noticed that the social users of their games are more valuable than other users. The social users, that is the people who connect their game with their Facebook identity or who discover games with Facebook, usually have higher retention, come back to the game more often, and have significantly higher likelihood of spending in the game. For example, Storm8 has seen that in their game, Facebook-connected users are 7 times more likely to pay in the game as compared to other users. And other developers have seen similar results as well. You can take advantage of the reach Facebook offers in many ways. Firstly, Facebook drives a lot of social distribution to your game when the users share their game activity with Facebook. We also have a mobile app install ad product that makes it really easy to target the exact kind of users that you want to drive to your games. So you can target the 25-year-old male in Vancouver, BC, or the 35 to 40-year female in Kentucky, or exactly the users who like to play Halo, etc., if that's the audience that you want for the game. We also recently announced a mobile publishing program where developers, small and medium-sized developers, can partner with Facebook and drive growth to their games. While Facebook is pretty deeply penetrated on the mobile ecosystem, the web games ecosystem that we refer to as Canvas has been doing really well as well. Of the more than 1 billion monthly active users on Facebook, more than 260 million play games on a monthly basis. And the number of pairs on Facebook Canvas has increased more than 27% year over year. And these people are actually ready to play your games, your Unity games. More than 90 million users, more than 90 million Facebook monthly active users have Unity installed on their machines. And they have a low friction experience when they try to play your Unity game. And on top of that, you can target a lot of these users through our ad system as well. And this number is growing. And to make that even better, we have recently launched a reduced friction install experience for Unity for a user who does not have Unity installed on their device, but has shown the intent to play a Unity game. So if we detect that the user does not have Unity Web Player installed, and we walk them through the install experience. We show them what to do at each step of the way, and we also show them screenshots from your games so that they know what they are going to get once they go through this experience, and we show them social context and everything. We iterated on this flow a bunch, and this flow has significantly increased the install rate for a user who does not have Unity Web Player installed. To maximize the impact from the install flow that we've built, all you guys have to do is to add really good screenshots for a game, which demonstrates the good graphics that you've been building. And we've seen that actually sometimes 2x's the install rate for Unity Web Player if they realize what the game looks like once they've installed the player. On top of the user number, it's also important to look at what kind of games people are playing on Facebook web canvas. It's not about just Farmville. It's not about Candy Crush Saga only. It's Facebook users on web play a wide variety of genres of games. And all of these genres have huge segments of really engaged users for their games on Facebook today. One segment that's pretty popular with Unity developers on Canvas right now is core games, because a lot of core games are using the 3D graphics capability that Unity offers. And number of core games on Facebook has been increasing pretty consistently. Not only that, number of users playing core games is growing faster than the rest of the ecosystem. And as it's probably known well enough, core games monetize significantly better than the non-core games on average on Facebook. Let's talk a little bit about the social experiences that we can provide once you integrate your game with Facebook. You can use Facebook to personalize the game for your users. You can ask the users for the permission to use their name, profile picture, et cetera, and simple things like using the real name in the game and using the profile picture of the user makes sometimes really improve the user experience for the game. With friend access, you can let the user play with their friends if that's what they want to do, if that's the core part of your game. For example, this is what the flow looks like. The user wants to play the game with a friend. They'll use the multi-friend selector to select a friend they want to play with. They send an invitation to that friend. The invitation or request shows up on the friend's mobile phone as a push notification. And it also lights up the notification jewel inside their Facebook app. The user can just click on the notification, and they're taken to the game if they have the game installed on their device, and they're taken to the App Store to download the game if they do not have the game open on their device. Another social experience that we provide is just by providing the ability to share the game activity with your friends. So users can choose to brag about their game performance or share game stories, and it shows up in their timeline and also shows up in their friends' newsfeed. We think all these social experiences make it a significantly better user experience, and they have more fun playing the game. But on top of that, it also brings added virality and engagement to your games. And this works cross-platform. Facebook connects gamers across all platforms and lets them bring their identity and friends with them. So you can start playing a game at work, and then on your commute home, just continue to play from where you left off on your mobile device. This helps improve the user retention and engagement. On top of that, you have the ability to play with friends irrespective of the device they have, so that you're not restricted to just having a social experience within the set of friends who have the iPhone or within the set of friends who have an Android. All the social channels that we have, requests, notifications, newsfeed, all of them work across all the different platforms very seamlessly and improve virality and engagement through the social fabric of Facebook. For Facebook itself, we've seen that people who use Facebook on mobile and web both have significantly higher retention and engagement than the people who use Facebook exclusively on the web or exclusively on mobile. For game developers as well, they have consistently seen that the engagement is higher for people who are playing on multiple platforms. On top of that, they've seen that once they have a successful game on one platform, and it's a social game integrated with Facebook, when they launch to a new platform, the game reaches the top charts much, much faster. We have seen these results consistently across all the developers who've integrated their games with Facebook. So if you're interested in reaching a broad set of audience using the Facebook reach, the reach that Facebook provides, or enable your users to play with their friends on the different devices that they have or the different devices that their friends have, we think that the Facebook SDK for Unity is going to make it much, much easier to build and maintain those experiences. And there is pretty much just no reason to not do it anymore. Let's bring Aaron and Ian on the stage. Aaron Brady, he's the architect of Facebook SDK for Unity on the Facebook side, and Ian is Unity counterpart. And they're not only going to go into the details of how it works, but also tell you a story of how we started working on it.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Vishu. Yeah, let's start talking about technology. This is Unite. We're all technology people. But to start out with, I am going to tell you a little bit of a story. And like all good stories, it's a love story. So this started out a couple months back. We have very smart people working at both of our companies, and they got together and they realized, well, Facebook is on a lot of platforms. It's on mobiles. It's on the desktop. And Unity is on a hell of a lot of platforms. I mean, we're on everything. You saw David's presentation this morning. I don't need to say too much. So we're a natural mating. We're chocolate and peanut butter put together for crunchy, delicious gaming goodness. So I actually got put on a plane the day after I heard about this and flew to meet these guys the next day. Got sat down in a conference room, and we came up with 2 goals. First, we wanted to make it really, really easy to make a Unity game on Facebook. Right now, you have to license some plugins or write some code in Objective-C, and if you don't know Objective-C, it can be a bit of a pain, and you have to learn. There's a lot of things to do. We wanted to take all of that away and just integrate this with the normal Unity build once, run anywhere experience. We also wanted to make it really, really cool to play Unity games inside a web browser. Because right now, you have to pop out and authorize people to play Facebook games. It's not smooth. We wanted to make it so smooth you couldn't tell if you were playing a game that you had downloaded from Steam or from somewhere else, or if you were playing it in the Unity web player in your browser. So specifically, 3 goals. All C#, absolutely no other languages required. We wanted to boost the number of web players installed. Of course, if we're pushing web player games on Facebook, we need lots of people to be using the web player. And finally, we wanted a smooth, secure Facebook UI available for all of those web games. We wanted you to not have to drop out of the full screen experience to your beautiful games, so you could just invite a friend or post a high score, do something really basic like that. So I also asked for a pony. That one I didn't get. So like all good projects, we started by locking myself and Aaron and a couple other engineers, I see some of them here today, into a room for 2 weeks, and we drank a whole lot of coffee. And we tried absolutely everything we could think of. We ran the gamut from trying to just do wrap the existing Facebook JavaScript SDK with Unity's existing external call framework. If you've ever done any web player programming, you might have seen that. We also tried embedding a web browser inside the web player, which was running inside a web browser. With apologies to Exhibit, that didn't work. But it was cool to look at. After 2 weeks, we did create something rather miraculous. We took Angry Bots, which is a demo that you may have seen if you've opened up Unity in the last year or so. We prototyped it into a game. The bots now had your friends' faces on them, and your friends were running around trying to shoot you, and so you shot them back.
Maybe you need better friends.
Thank you, Aaron. Anyway, with the SDK that we had prototyped, when converting Angry Bots over, we didn't have to touch anything but the existing code inside the game. We didn't have to exit out into the browser. It was all done in C# and the native Unity script. But you could log in, you could shoot your friends, and you could rub it in their faces once you were finished. More importantly, this all worked in full screen mode. And it was, of course, we used standard Unity buttons at the time. Now we've got a cool blue Facebook UI that looks like a native, like you're actually on Facebook. We don't really have a screenshot, but it did kind of look like that. Anyway, what we've ended up with today, we released it at 10 a.m. local time this morning. You can download it right now. The link is on that flyer you saw. You can basically do whatever you want in C#, and we will do the rest on iOS, on Android, and in the web player. You don't have to do a single thing to change between them. And the best part is, if you're on Canvas in the web player, you get that clean in-game Facebook UI. Yay. All right, I'm going to stop talking now, and I'm going to hand it over to Aaron, who will walk you through some of the code and give you a little demo.
Thank you, Ian. Who here wants to see some code? Hands up if you want to see some code. All right. I'm going to be talking about what it's like to code with the Facebook SDK for Unity, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what you have to do to configure your app with the Facebook developer site so that you can run with Facebook. And finally, I'm going to show you a demo of running your app on iOS. And again, on Canvas. So first things first, here's the app I'm going to show you. It's an app called Friend Smash. It's available on our site, and it runs cross-platform. It's basically sort of a Fruit Ninja type of game, and it has some nice social components here. And next up, I'm going to show you the code. I apologize, I'm a little embarrassed. There's just not much here. All you have to remember if you want to make your app for Facebook are 3 basic functions, plus init, it's a little thing. But you've got login, app requests, and feed. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the fp.init and fp.login calls. fp.init, it just sets up the SDK. It's very straightforward. Login's what you have to call before you make any other things like app requests or API calls to the Facebook SDK. When you call this function, the players see this dialog right here. This is the desktop version, but on mobile you'll see something similar. It just says, hey, we'd like your email address and some other information, whatever you choose to get. And the users say OK, and after that, you're ready to do stuff with them. This function is the app requests dialog. It shows the app request dialog. This is the one-to-one communication channel. Vishu talked a little bit about it earlier. It's the thing where players can say, yeah, you know what, I really want to play with Vishu. I really want to play with Ian. I'm going to tell them about this game, and they're going to get notified. Looks kind of like this. And they'll have a chance to come into the game and check it out. The bottom picture here is what players see in their browser, desktop browser, in the App Center. There's a request section there where users can kind of manage their requests and see what's going on. Next up, we have the feed call. The feed is the feed dialog is right here, and the feed is sort of the one-to-many communication channel on Facebook. So if you call fp.feed, you can see 5 simple parameters here. Person sees this, they get a chance to talk about it. Oh my God, Friend Smash is awesome. And this is what your friends will see if you post a feed dialog. So you can see here, like, comment, and share. So now that I've gone over the actual code, I'm going to show you what it looks like on iOS. So here you can see the familiar Unity editor. Should be playing a screencast right now. Well, let me try something. Nope. Uh-oh. What's that? Is it working? Oh, I'm sorry. It's not playing down here, so thank you very much, Ian. So here you can see the familiar Unity editor, and I've loaded up the Friend Smash application. And you can see that down at the bottom there's an error. It comes without the Facebook SDK in it, just so you go through the process of integrating it. So you right-click here, you say import package. I've downloaded the package already from the developer site, but you can also get it in the asset store. And then you click open, and here you can see the assets that are going to be integrated into your project. And now you're getting the iOS, the Android, and the Canvas components integrated into your game. Now, once you've done this, the next step is you have to get something called an app ID and get that integrated into your game. So you can see we have a menu up here at the top. Menu item says Facebook Edit Settings. And when you click on that, you're going to get a little tab over here that has the information and the areas to put the app ID in. So I'm going to go to the developer site now, and I'm going to create a new app. So you go to developers.facebook.com, click on the Apps button, and here you can edit your existing apps, or you can say Create New App. So here you go, I'm going to create the app. We're going to call it Unite Friend Smash Demo. The next field is the app namespace. That has to be unique. That goes into the URL for people who play games on a Facebook desktop browser. And here I picked a category called productivity just for fun, but actually you should pick games. It opens up more capabilities for your game on Canvas. And then we do a CAPTCHA, which I think I get right. And now we're loading into your newly created app. So here you can see Unite Friend Smash Demo, and there at the top, the app ID. So just copy this and take that and paste it into the Unity editor in the field that I showed you. So here you can see it's going in. There's a field here for naming the app ID. That's because we want to give you the ability to run multiple run one code base against multiple Facebook apps. In this case, I'm calling it friendsmash debug, just as an example of something you might want to do while you're testing the integration. So now we go to build settings. Again, we're building for iOS. We need one more piece of configuration information, and that is the bundle identifier. So I'm going to type in com.facebook.unity.friendsmash, and you copy that, and then we head on back over to the developer site. Scroll down here, you can see here, these are different ways you can integrate with Facebook. Native iOS app is what you want. Click on that, and there's the bundle ID. Now, there's a couple other fields here. For example, the App Store ID. This app isn't going into the App Store, it's just a demo app. But if you are putting your app in the App Store, put the ID here, because if someone gets a story, gets a request about your game and doesn't have it installed, we'll take them over to the App Store if they click on the link, and then they can install your game, and then they can play it. So you're going to want to do that. Back here on iOS, click Build and Run, and we're off and running. Now, I'm running this in the iPad simulator on my desktop so I could get the screencast, but this will work just as well on devices, obviously. And you go over here, and right now, the player is not currently logged on. Me, I'm not logged in. So I go over here and I click Login, and this is what someone playing your game is going to see. Is they're going to get this dialog popped up. It says, hey, friendsmash wants to get a hold of your friends list. I said, yeah, that's fine, no problem. And so you click OK. And then you come back to the game, and now we have some social information about you. So we're doing the game does a request to the Facebook server. It says, here's your name, Aaron, welcome Aaron. And it also grabs my profile picture. Now I pop open the feed dialog, and this is again, the one-to-many share, the thing that people can like and comment on. And you know, it's friendsmash rules. So there you go. And click share. And the other thing, again, the other button I showed you the other function I showed you was the app request dialog. So here's the app request dialog popping up. And you can see the dialog popping up. It's being filled with your friends. And so I go, well, you know, maybe I'll send vShore request. That sounds good. And I don't know, let's see, oh, by the way, there's another field here. This is the don't ask about this again. Just a little details on our API. People can agree to not have to see this dialog every time, and then you can send requests directly to people. Again. So there we go. That's the iOS integration. As you can see, straightforward, really easy. Now, one question you might have is, how do I make this cross-platform? Well, I got an answer for you. It already is. This code all runs on Canvas and Android and iOS with no changes whatsoever. So the next thing I'm going to show you, now that I've shown you iOS, is how to get this running on Facebook Canvas so that people who are on their desktop in their browser can say, hey, I want to check out your awesome game and play it on Canvas. So the first step, again, is just going to be the configuration changes required to get it to work. All you have to do when you build is upload your file somewhere on the web, upload your .unity3 file somewhere that people can get to it. So here we go. You pop open your build settings, choose web player. I've got it set up, Unite Friendsmash. And what this is doing right now is it's building two files, an HTML file, which you don't need, and a .unity3D file, which is just your game bundled up for the web player. And then we take that, and here you can see client.html, client.unity3D. Now you take this and push it somewhere up on the web. There's a variety of ways you can host it. And in my particular case, I'm using Parse. Parse has the ability to host static files, so this will make your life a little bit easier. So there you go. The files are uploading. And now that they're up there, we'll go back to the developer website, and I'll show you what you have to do to tell us about your game on Canvas. So here we go. You click App on Facebook, and then go down to Unity integration, enabled. And then right here, just tell us where to get the static file. So again, one of the nice things about this, you don't have to write any backend PHP or Django or whatever you want to do. You don't have to write any JavaScript or HTML. Just tell us where to get the Unity3D file, and we take care of the rest. And so I got unitefriendsmash.parseapp.com/client/client.unity3D. And now this field right here is your app namespace, it's called. So that lives on apps.facebook.com/unite_friend_smash. And here you can see exact same game, exact same code. I'll pop into full screen, and now people playing your game can focus just on the game. And there's the feed dialog, and here's the request dialog. And there you go, native. Really smooth, really nice experience for people playing your game. And just something we try to do to make your game just a little bit better. Now, the best part about this, the best part about this is it's all documented. So go to this website, check out the docs we've written, give us feedback if something doesn't make sense. But we think this is a really simple and easy to use SDK. And we think that if you do this, you just remember, get the SDK, set up on the developer site, fb.init, fb.login to get permissions, fb.feed, and fb.appRequest. You can make your game social with very little effort and get a lot of bang for the buck out of that. So with that, I'm going to pass this off to David Paul, who's going to talk to you about Parse. I showed you a little bit earlier. I was using it for hosting. And David's going to talk about some of the other amazing things that Parse can do. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Aaron. Isn't that stuff awesome? All right. So as Aaron said, I'm David Paul. I'm on the Parse team at Facebook. And today I'm really excited to show you a little bit of what's coming for Unity developers from Parse. So Parse starts with the understanding that building connected games, or games where you have data and logic and all of those things that sort of go beyond the device that's actually playing the game, are really hard to build. You have to set up some database on some servers somewhere, build out some sort of a REST API that you can go and connect to from your game, set up servers and make sure that they all scale properly and that they're all accessible in the right ways, handle user login and authentication properly, secure your servers, and then, of course, make sure that all of this scales as your game becomes huge. Once you've done all of that, you then have to actually write the code that lives in your Unity game that goes and pulls down the data from your server, turns it into stuff that you can work with in your game. And that can be a little bit difficult, figuring out all the transport and all of that. And then once you've got it, you need a way to work with that stuff in memory. You deal with, holding on to the user for your game and storing that locally, and then restoring it at the right times, all of those things. And then finally, once you've done all of that, you can focus on what makes your game awesome. And that's all of the fun stuff about building your game. So Parse basically says, forget it. Just work on the fun stuff. We'll take care of building out all of this back-end stuff for you, and you can use our service. And so that's where Parse comes in. So today, we're really, really excited to announce that in the coming weeks, we will be releasing a Parse Unity SDK. It will work across platforms. You'll be able to use it with the Canvas apps that you build, or iOS or Android apps. Even on desktop apps, you'll be able to use the Parse SDK. So let's take a little bit of a look at how you would use this SDK. One of the first things that you're going to want to do is save data that's associated with your game up to the cloud on Parse. And doing that requires just a couple of lines of code. You create a new Parse object, set some fields on it, and call save, and that's it. The SDK takes care of the rest for you. Once you've done all of that, we actually have a data browser that you can log into your account on parse.com and see the data that you just saved in your game, so that you can have a very seamless development flow where you can immediately see the feedback from the changes that you've made to your game. One of the next things that you'll want to take care of is handling user login and authentication. Parse makes this really, really easy. Signing up a user, again, is just a couple of lines of code. So I can create a new user, set a username and password. I don't have to use Facebook for login if I don't want to, but using Facebook for login is an awesome way to do this. And then call sign up async. Logging in is just as simple. Call login async, hand in the username and password, and I'm all set. So we've just seen a presentation about using the Facebook SDK in your Unity games. Let's make sure the nice thing about the Parse Unity SDK is that it handles logging in with Facebook and associating data with that Facebook user really, really straightforward. Again, just one line of code is all you need to get going. You're going to take those Facebook authentication credentials that you've gotten from the Facebook SDK, pass them on to Parse. We'll create a Parse user for you, and you can immediately start associating data with that user. Of course, once you've once you've got all of that saved onto Parse, you're going to want to be able to get that data back. And so Parse has a rich query language that lets you go and get whatever data you happen to have stored on Parse. All you have to do is create a new Parse query, add some filters to it. You can determine what order the objects come back in, call find async, and in the callback, you'll have all of the data you're looking for. Of course, that's not all there is to Parse. We have a whole bunch of other features storing some relational data. You can have objects that point to other objects. We let you store files, so if you want to take a screenshot and then save that to Parse and you incorporate that with your data, you can really easily do that. We have rich data access controls, so based on the users that you've just created, you can protect access to whatever data your game has. We also support hosting, so you can store some static files, as Aaron mentioned, and do even more than that. And Cloud Code, which allows you to write a little bit of JavaScript that runs on our servers to augment what the backend is doing. So now that we've gone through all of that, let's do a really quick demo. We're going to extend that Friend Smash game that you just saw Aaron working on. And the first thing I'm going to do is open up Unity. So here's the Friend Smash game once again. To set up Parse, I've already added the Parse SDK to my assets. I'm going to just say game object, create empty, and set up the Parse initialization script. So I'll go and attach the Parse initialization behavior. And it asks for an application ID and a .NET key. So these are the keys that associate the SDK with your app on Parse as your backend. In order to get those, we will go over to parse.com. Whoops. Sign up for an account. I've already signed in with mine. And we're going to create a new app. So let's call that Friend Smash Unite. And what you'll see immediately is a set of keys. So here you can see the application ID and .NET key. So I'm going to copy the application ID into Unity and copy the .NET key. And that's really all there is to setting up the Parse SDK. Now you can immediately start making calls into the Parse SDK and saving that data, seeing it on Parse. So let's augment this app just a little bit in order to store the history of games that any player plays on, in Friend Smash. So what we'll do is first we'll go and create a user based on the Facebook login. So here we've said if I don't already have a Parse user associated with my game, and I am logged into Facebook, let's go ahead and create a Parse user. So we'll say parse Facebook utils.login async, and we're going to pass in fb.access token and fb.userid. And that's really all it's going to take in order to create a user that's associated with this Facebook account. When it's done, we're going to want to refresh the history, so I'm going to write a quick callback here and just say get history. All right, so that's all it took to create a Parse user associated with the Facebook user. Now let's save some game history whenever a game ends. So I'm going to go to my game state manager, and I've got an endgame method already set up. And what we're going to do is create a game score object that stores some information about the game, who I was playing against, things like that, and saves it up to Parse. So we'll say game score equals new Parse object. And this is defining the type of Parse object that we're going to create, in this case game score. And we'll just set some values in it. So game score friend name, for example, the person that I was playing against is friend name. We'll set the player on this object. So game score player equals the current user. So this will be the user that's logged in into my game. Parse user current user. And we'll hold on to the score. So game score final score equals the score. And finally, we just call save async, and the data will be stored up to parse. That's all there was to it. Finally, we're going to want to actually pull that data back down. So let's go back to the main menu. I've already got a little bit of code that will render the list of history entries that I get. But let's go and figure out what entries we actually want to display. So here we'll create a new query. So query equals new parse query of parse objects. And we're looking at game score objects. And then we want to put some filters on the query. So we only want to see the history for the current user. That's as simple as saying where equal to player and my current user. And let's sort them in most recent to least recent order. So we'll say order by descending. And we'll use the created at field, which is an automatic field that is created on every parse object when you save it to parse. And then getting this data is as simple as saying query.findAsync. And in the callback, I'm just going to set my local variable that'll actually get rendered in my on GUI. So history equals the result. And that's all there is to it. So I'm going to switch to my phone here for just a sec. If we can get the phone up on the screen. All right, and I know it's a little bit small, but what you can see is that I've got a list of game histories. And when I go and play a new game, and I'm going to, well, I've got a bunch of blank faces here, but I'm going to lose real quick. What you'll see is that I've now got a new game history that shows up right on the device. So let's switch back to my laptop real quick. Thank you very much. OK, so the one final thing to see here is that if I go and look at the data browser on parse.com, I can immediately go and see the game score objects that I've saved. So if I refresh here, you'll actually be able to see I've just created a new game score. It's associated with my user. I can look at all of the data and figure out how I want to work with it. And it's really that easy to get set up using Parse, works across platforms, and hopefully will really accelerate your development process. So that's what's coming from Parse. I'm going to hand it back to Ian and Aaron, and thank you so much.
All right, so let me quickly switch back to Keynote here. Yay. All right, so we've told you a love story. You've seen some cool stuff, but we're not done yet. I also wanted to talk about some of the partners that we've been testing this with. You see, we know that when we're building an SDK, we're building an API for you. And one thing that you don't like doing is rebuilding your game just because we decided to change the way something's named or something like that. So we wanted to get the API for this nailed down really well before we release it to the public. Therefore, we took several partners, one of them being Madfinger. You may know them from Dead Trigger, Dead Zone, Shadowgun. They had never made a web player game before. They were exclusively a mobile company. In 1 week, they transferred Dead Zone over to the canvas. And as a result, their number of daily players increased by 75% instantly. You can't argue with the results. We also had Naval. They did King's Bounty Legions. They actually went live today with the Facebook SDK, so I don't have numbers with you, numbers for you, but it looks pretty cool, and we're hoping to see some similar levels of success with them. And we also had one of our very long-running partners, Seamune. You may know of them from Uberstrike. It's one of the really awesome FPSs on Facebook. Screw it. I don't need to tell you about this because there's a guy over here called Lee, and I think he'd rather tell you about it than I would. Lee?
As Ian said, I'm from Seamune. If you don't know about us, we're a real-time, fully multiplayer first-person shooter. We're on web and on the iOS. We're currently Facebook's largest Unity game. with 1 million monthly average users. We're also the first to go into, these slides aren't up, sorry. We're also the first to get the Facebook SDK for Unity into production. So how easy was the integration? Actually very. I'm the senior web developer at CMUN and not a Unity engineer at all. And it took me 1 day to integrate our existing features into Unity directly. So that's stuff like login, friend sharing, et cetera, et cetera. And the iOS integration came entirely for free. We compiled it and it just worked. Why integrate it? Well, the big killer feature obviously is the native dialogues. It stops ruining your full screen experience. It's very disappointing when you see your full screen content go away and HTML pop up. It's just not nice. Also, the iOS integration, only having to write the code once, fantastic. And we no longer have a Facebook canvas to maintain. So we've got no JavaScript. Our deployments are a lot more simple. Code's a lot easier to maintain. Yep. And actually, our database load is slightly lighter now as well. And because it was too easy, we decided to complicate it a little bit. And while in beta with the guys at Facebook, we decided to do some feature development. So you can see up there, my friend Roman sent me a gift, so we implemented a new gifting feature. We've also got a really cool feature down at the bottom there, the online users. We actually take your Facebook users and match them up. So if you've got Facebook friends that play Uberstrike and they're online at the same time as you, they show up in our client, you can join them immediately in-game. And actually it was, yeah, we had a bunch of us do that, so we managed to cross-transfer the Facebook SDK quite quickly onto guys that predominantly just do UI work. We also found a bonus feature. The documentation for this looked really, really easy. It was the screenshots. We pushed it live after the prototype, which took about an hour, but didn't really tell any of our users, and you can kind of see that on the graph. The spike was when we went to 100% traffic on the Facebook Canvas SDK. We still haven't told our users about it. So this was entirely spread by word of mouth. Our players just absolutely love this. We've actually told them about it as of today, so hopefully that graph is going to continue to go up. So if you want to check out our game, it's available obviously on Facebook at facebook.com/Uberstrike, and I'll pass back over to Vishu.
Thanks, Lee. This looks pretty awesome. One thing Ian and Aaron did not talk about, was to what lengths they went to just make this thing really, really simple and easy to use. We re-architected the way Facebook Canvas works. Like, this is the first time we are just hosting the Unity 3D file ourselves so that you guys don't have to build a HTML page to just host that file. We made changes to the Unity web player so that we can securely download the SDK so that the user click authenticity is preserved. We just did a lot of stuff. We made it a very strong goal of ours to make sure that the SDK is consistent across all the different platforms, even though our Android and iOS SDKs can actually have different usage behavior across the different platforms. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. The few key takeaways I want you guys to take away from this presentation. Users want to play cross-platform games, and we want to build products that the users want. Our goal with this has been to remove any excuse that anybody has to not build a cross-platform game. So if you're building a game just for mobile, there's just no reason to not bring it to Canvas as well and see similar results to what Matt Finger saw. And if you're building just for Facebook Canvas, there's just no reason why you shouldn't take it to tablets, or if the form factor is right for you, to mobile phones. You should do that. Facebook is committed to games, and we're committed to making game developers' lives easier. Games are a big part of what our users do on our website. Games are a big part of what people do on their phones, and it's even a bigger part of what people do on their tablets. Facebook we consider it really important to make sure that the Facebook game experience is really, really good. With Unity, which makes it very easier to build cross-platform or high-quality cross-platform games. With Facebook, which makes it very easy to maintain user identity across devices and let you play your games with friends. And Parse, which makes it easy for you to focus on the game development while not worrying about all the things that David talked about, all the backend stuff, all the networking stuff. With all these three, you can just focus on building the game and just getting adoption to that game. The Facebook SDK is available as of this morning, so you should start playing with it. It's available on the Unity Asset Store. It's also available on our developer site. The Parse SDK is going to be launching in the coming weeks. We're hard at work at it. It's coming really, really soon. And you should follow the Parse blog to find out when it's available. We have a Facebook party tonight, as Ian mentioned in the beginning. It's at 6:30 p.m. at Fairmont Waterfront, not the other Fairmont. And you should register for it at this URL. I think we have enough time to answer questions. So I invite the team over here to answer any questions that you might have. We have mics right in the middle over there. So we'll answer any questions, but we also have office hours all day tomorrow from 9 to 5 in room 108. And we have our booth right outside over there. So please feel free to drop by there as well.
Just come on up to the mic.
And come to the party, too.
Yeah, mic's right there. Please.
Hi, how you doing? Just curious, with all this integration, does your web player app have to be hosted on Facebook, or can you host it on your own site?
Ours is my mic on. There we go. Ours is actually hosted through our CDN. It's just a static file on the CDN, and that's it. So it can be hosted anywhere. As long as it's on SSL, you're fine. Yeah,
the example I did was hosted by Parse. So it has to be somewhere that people can get to it from their browser, but we don't host it for you.
You don't need to be directly on Facebook integrated to use like the login and initialization and stuff.
So Facebook Games platform on Canvas, it is on apps.facebook.com/your game name, and the user visits that. And in the iframe, we just pull in the Unity 3D file wherever you have put it.
Right, I understand that, but I'm just thinking like, what if I just want to host it on my website and be completely without Facebook, but have the Facebook?
Facebook Games platform is actually only available on Canvas.
Yeah. Okay.
On the web.
Hey, what up? Yeah, this is awesome. So real quick, in the keynote, they made it sound like, I think they said iOS coming soon. So is this all beta for iOS and native, or what's the exact step?
The SDK works on Android, iOS, and Canvas right now, if you grab it and get it. We're calling it beta. It's an open beta just because we haven't had that many developers look at it yet. But as far as we know, things are all working. So we think it's in good shape. It's good to go. Give it a try. And if something is broken, let us know and we'll fix it.
And you can totally push to our production with this right now?
Yeah.
Oh, radical. OK, one other quick question. So to validate a user's server side on our servers, do we still just call the graph.facebook with the access token?
Yeah.
And the new Unity SDK, is there just like a .git access token or something? Oh,
it's
cool.
literally just fb.app_access token.
Killer. Thanks, guys.
Just wanted to actually amplify that very slightly. One of the cool things is that now you can simply call a method that's in the SDK directly in C#. There's no need to muck around with the www class. No need to drop out to JavaScript. We handle all the session management and everything transparently.
Hi, guys. Yeah, this looks like great stuff. But I have one concern, usually because Unity likes to simplify things too much for me. And for instance, the one thing I'm a little concerned about is the magic that happens on Facebook now with giving it our Unity 3D file and having it do all this nice stuff. That may not suit our needs because, for instance, we have a server and we have a dev server and a QA server, and we need to inject external config, and we do that via the web page right now. So maybe we don't get this magic because we have to generate our own HTML and inject all this stuff to say where to connect to and where its assets are and all this other stuff. And can we do that and still have the nice magic?
Yeah, you can. We're exactly the same. We have an XML config file. All we do is pass in a URL parameter onto the Unity 3D file to tell it that it's running on Facebook so as it knows. And then after that, it just loads our standard XML file, which tells it where the web services are and where static assets are.
Right, but what's the method to do that since we no longer have our own HTML because they're generating?
You can still use your own HTML. The Facebook SDK will actually fall back to JavaScript automatically if you don't use the integrated canvas.
Okay, but do we still get the nice install stuff that you guys
It doesn't come inside the Unity 3D file. It doesn't pop up inside inside full screen, so it's not native, but basically is the existing flow as you see it today. So if you want to do that for a dev server or a QA server, you can just turn off the Canvas integration.
Okay, fair enough. One other quick question about cross-platform. The thing that bites us with cross-platform, and we have to, as far as we know, we have to silo iOS because iOS has monetization stuff that conflicts with being actually cross-platform. Is that something you guys have worked out with Apple?
We don't address
So
monetization
as far as
at
the
all.
payments API are concerned, you will have to call the native API for that.
Right, but I mean, Facebook credits, for instance, right? Like that you can use cross-platform except Apple because they want you to go through the Apple Store. That's not something you've worked out then with this cross-platform?
We have not.
Okay, thank you.
Hey guys, I just had a question about the Facebook Unity SDK. So when you build on iOS or Android, in the demo you showed that when you log in, on iOS it like popped into the Safari and then popped back. Does it support the single sign-on?
Let Ben handle that question.
Yeah, so single sign-on is fully supported on iOS. It'll actually pop out to Safari, or it'll pop out to the Facebook app if you have it installed on your phone.
Okay, but does it support the iOS 6 style, like just the little...
Oh, you're talking about the native
the-
iOS integration?
Yeah, the native iOS, like the alert view.
We don't support that.
Yeah,
You
we
don't
actually
support that.
turned that off because it wasn't really, it's weird in a few different ways.
Oh, okay.
So on the plus side, we handle the fallbacks automatically for you. That's just more code you don't have to write. But we don't support the iOS native pop-up dialogues because it's not rich enough to support the things you're going to want to do and the permission you want to do.
Oh,
Yeah.
in terms of permission.
There is a possibility we could open that up and enable it in the future if there's a lot of demand for it, though.
Gotcha. And then the friend request dialog in iOS, is that showing like the same native dialog that the iOS Facebook SDK
You're talking about,
has?
so the question is, did the request dialog I showed today, was that the one that's native?
Yeah, that
No,
was it.
I ran it on the iPad simulator, so it's all web.
It's all web. Okay.
Just a question about the Facebook pages. So a lot of people who have mobile games, they may have a Facebook page, but not a Facebook game. In our case, we just released to Facebook, I guess it was last summer. And I think when you merged apps, Facebook apps with pages, or since then, like, well, we have a page. So we had enough users on the page that we didn't want to start a new page. When you have an app, it says, do you want to create a page for this app? Did you guys fix that? Because there's some games where it says play game. So if it was started as an app and then you started a page with it, but since we had a page and we had a lot of followers for it, we didn't want to start a new app. So we just connected an app to it. But we had to make a custom tab, like play game, but we don't have the, like go to app or play game. We don't have that. So was that fixed with Canvas?
I don't think we have fixed that, but it's a reasonable idea. We should figure out what a good experience there looks like.
Okay, thanks.
Hi, I have a question for the Parse guy. I was wondering what kind of scope we can use the data web service you provide, especially for real-time games. In particular, I don't know if you have any number for TPS or SLA you can guarantee and what kind of uptime you can guarantee.
So we have if you have specific needs for an SLA or uptime guarantees, we do negotiate specific contracts for that. Otherwise, we have a regular plan, and we do our best to keep this stuff up and running all the time. As far as real-time gaming stuff goes, you're likely to need a little more than what Parse can provide for a lot of the real-time stuff. For data storage, user authentication, things like that, Parse is probably a great fit for you.
Thank you.
All right.
Cool. All right, thank
Any
you
other
very much.
questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our booth is right outside, so if you think of new questions, please.
I think we have one more.
No, that's Michael.
Nope. Okay, cool.
I'm going to applaud you.
All right.
Thank you, Facebook.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for coming.